Well, a new episode of Andor has just dropped, and I apologise if I sound a bit croaky, but I've currently caught a cold. Well, anyway, a new episode of Andor just dropped, and boys, it's starting to explain a lot more details. We're getting both a look at the prison system in the Empire and just how it all works, along with how everything works within the, I'd have to say the bureaucracy. Like how the Empire is expanding its operational radius across the entire galaxy. That was certainly something nice to see. Also what was nice to see as well was the rise of, I think just the fact that General Khan, the Inspector who first appeared in the first 3 episodes, has suddenly basically caught the interest of the ISB, more specifically, who I think could be the main villain of the story. And the main reason why I'm saying that is because that, well, seen largely as almost as an influence to the Empire in some way, but also in the vein of the general discrepancy and the fact that he raised 5 requests trying to figure out who Andor was. That got her attention. She interrogated him for a bit, and then afterwards she decided to pursue that as a line of inquiry. Currently at the moment no one knows where Andor is. When you know where he is, he's currently in prison, working a menial labour job to keep the Imperial industry ticking over, making what could be articulated frames for, I think, machinery, just with the fact of the joints we see on the things that he's making. It's some sort of joint assembly, which then probably gets built elsewhere. And the fact of how easy it is to assemble, so just the fact the Empire spent a great amount of time designing it for ease of manufacturing, it could be pretty much built by anybody. I think the other thing is also, fascinating thing is just the prison itself. Barefoot, electrical shock flooring. The Empire has designed this prison to control the population with minimal guards. If something starts up, they can suddenly just shock the floor, potentially killing or incapacitating the inmates until the guards can bring them under control. It certainly will be interesting, and I think Andor is thinking quite possibly of a means of escape. I don't know, quite possibly this facility does seem to be impregnable, but to the extent of what it seems to be impregnable is largely unknown. The other good thing about the episode, I think, was Mon Mothma interacting with her powerful friends. We also learned for a fact of the way some in the Imperial Senate feel. It's almost like some of the Imperial Senate actually like the Empire, as they feel threatened by a band of rebels that are many, many light years away. Talk about the effectiveness of the Imperial propaganda machine. However, I think quite possibly this could backfire in a more larger way than I think. It could possibly spin off into the idea of the Empire running out of manpower and resources very quickly. As we already know, in canon, the Empire is one of the largest employers going, but even working menial jobs isn't enough. So as a result, they have to bring in prison labour to offset the shortfalls in the labour market, while at the same time also the Empire's expanding security will only just fuel rebellion. Because in the last episode, Monmouth said people will suffer. However, that is sort of the thing that our other guy wants. He wants a rebellion. And he knows for a fact the way to get a rebellion going is to make the Empire's control more total and absolute. That would be something very interesting to see if it pans out. The other thing that was particularly good about this episode was the fact that the Empire is running on a ticking clock. A very ticking clock, with its own stormtroopers and everything else working around it. And the fact that Supervisor Dedro, is also attempting to track the theft of Imperial parts. Because a number of Imperial pieces, small bits of equipment, have disappeared and have been stolen from a number of different shipyards over the course of a couple of years. And this equipment seems to be falling into the rebel hands, allowing them to slip by Imperial forces undetected. This is a particularly good point of note because of the fact that the Empire has no means of tracking it across the entire galaxy. But it's playing against them as well because their own technology is being used against them in some way or another. Which means for a fact the rebels could easily get their hands on top-of-the-line Imperial equipment and then use it against the Empire. That is a good detail. Finally, I think it's just the way the whole prison system works. The Empire knows for a fact that the only workers that can get the most productivity are healthy ones, so they make sure for a fact that the workers are well fed and are kept in good physical health and not good mental health. Because we see in one episode, one of them actually commits suicide. And this seems like a fairly regular occurrence in the prison because the way they often talk about it, the fact it was something that just happened. That was particularly good to see. I think the other good thing was also just the fact of how well it worked. The details are really coming together. It's showing a lot of things, how the Empire works, how the Imperial bureaucracy works, how everything is coming together. Overall, it's been a very Another good episode. Light on action, but more on detail and politics, which I think is also done very well again. Everything in Andor has been done so well up until this point. I just hope the fact they do more of it going forward, especially when it comes to things such as the Imperial bureaucracy and the Imperial Senate. It's almost bizarre seeing the Imperial Senate in action, and how almost like a puppet it is of Palpatine himself, and how many of the senators are just literally just voting yay or nay just because of Palpatine's speeches, the way Palpatine introduces a bill, the way Palpatine discredits a bill. They're voting basically along the lines of, if the Palpatine says it's good, then it's a good idea. All of that was excellent to see, and I think the other thing interesting is the fact that Andor pretty much falls into a routine, which means he's either biding his time or he's planning to escape at some point. That was particularly good as well to see. Well, I've been the Universal Challenger, asking you to please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next time. See you in the next one. Cheerio!